Okay, I'm just going to talk about these creeps in Melbourne just because I'm going to get it off my chest, even though it's ruined my mood forever. But at least I'm not one of these poor kids or their parents. So I guess being mildly upset for a few days is a lot better. All right, so we're just going to do a trigger warning because this stuff is actually the most disgusting stuff you can think of. Yeah. In case people don't know, this creepy 26-year-old, I'm not even going to call him a man because he's not even a person, 70 counts, including grapefruit of children under the age of 2, some as young as 5 months. 1,200 children in Victoria need to have STD testing for gonorrhea and chlamydia. Yeah, obviously I'm very upset, as is everybody else with a brain and or a heart. You don't need both, just one or the other to be upset about it. Yeah, I don't even have words. This is like, I have been on till all day. It's so upsetting.
And the information we are going to provide today is particularly confronting.
This man has been accused of abusing several children at a childcare centre in Melbourne. Joshua Brown has been charged with more than...
Just look at this creep, okay? Just in case. I'm not saying anyone should do anything to him, but just be aware, because I don't know if he's going to be out on bail or whatever. Just, yeah, just stay away from him. Honestly, like, just... yeah, hopefully the law deals with it. I'm a very small female, so like I wouldn't be able to beat him up anyway, even though he's obviously the type of piece of poo that can only hurt children, because he couldn't fight someone his own size or hurt someone his own size because he's pathetic little. And I'm not saying anything, but remember when Jonah from Tonga said rangers have no soul? Well, once again, Jonah is proven nice. Is proven right, rather. Not nice, he's mean. But he is right, he is correct. Rangers have no soul. And if you ever apologise to a ranger on a national apologise to a ranger day, you take that apology right back, because the other creep that's also been charged is also, guess what? A ranger. You're a ranger and you have no soul. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're the exception that proves the rule, Joey. I'm sure you're the exception that proves the rule. It's okay. You can have a soul. You can be, I endow you with a soul. I have that power. So there you go. You have a soul now, so you're all good. Well, if you care, you have a soul, like, obviously. I'm half joking. I'm just, yeah.
70 alleged offences relating to the abuse of 8 children. Police say the alleged victims were between 5 months and 2 years old.
What police are saying, they discovered child abuse material. We don't know yet how or why, and police have been really reluctant to release that information because the investigation is ongoing. But he also worked at 20 childcare centres from January 2017, so it is a major investigation.
You need to know what the video is about. So someone in the western suburbs of Melbourne, a 26-year-old man, today was, I think yesterday actually, he was charged with 70 counts of child abuse, including grapefruit of children, some as young as 5 months old. And yeah, it's just really horrific. 1,200 infants in Victoria need to be tested for STIs, chlamydia and gonorrhea specifically, apparently. We don't know how many children this monster has hurt. So yeah, he worked with them. He was a childcare worker. It's absolutely horrific. So yeah, I had to cry about it today. I was heaps upset. And I was like, well, I'll just talk about it and get it off my chest. Yeah, I can't imagine having a child at one of those, because these are kids that aren't verbal yet. They're so young, they can't communicate, to their parents or whatever if someone's hurting them. So, yeah, obviously, well, he's obviously somebody that's into kids, number one, but going for the kids that young, that, definitely can't tell anyone because they literally are too young to know how to talk, is so, yeah, absolutely heinous. I hope he goes to jail for a very long time. And yeah, I hope all the families involved are getting a lot of support. I hope the government's providing that for them.
At the moment.
As part of the investigation, authorities have recommended 1,200 children be screened for sexually transmitted infections. The parents of those children are terrified.
I feel sick, I really do, and I just need some sort of level of certainty to know that my son wasn't in the room, that he was.
Did something happen to my child? That question will haunt me for the rest of my life.
My heart just breaks for the families who are living every parent's worst nightmare.
This was an unusual case, in that Brown's identity is no longer a secret.
In this scenario, the police were actually the ones that applied for the suppression.
Yeah, Hyperbovian. I'm on the west, I'm on the western side of the Westgate Bridge. People were definitely really tense around here too. I did notice, because some of the childcare centres involved, they're not in my suburb, but they're in like adjacent suburbs to where I am. There's two of the daycares where this creep worked, because he was a casual worker, right? So I don't know if he was working for like a temp agency, but it looked like he's worked at 20 childcare centres since 2017, and by the sounds of it, he's recorded this stuff that he's done on his phone, and that's the stuff that's been found by the police. So those are the only counts we know about, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't done this to a lot more children, right? Like, this is yeah, and it just goes to show a lack of regulation and a lack of oversight in the childcare sector. Obviously a lot of money has, been invested in the childcare sector. There's been a lot of government money up for grabs, and unfortunately a lot of these childcare centres have popped up overnight and not necessarily being run by people that have experience running childcare centres, right? Or experience recruiting people that are appropriate for this work. A lot of them don't even have qualifications directly related to, child development and early childhood learning, things like that. So it's yeah, look, I think there should be cameras everywhere. There should be if you work with children, you should be under CCTV all the time. It should be streamed. The CCTV footage should be streamed to a third-party location where you are being, you're sorry, but we can't risk it. If you hurt a child, you affect that child for the rest of their life, and it's just, yeah. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm really upset. I find it hard to articulate well when I'm, yeah, it's just, what do you say? I just hope those poor little babies are okay, and, yeah, I just hope that, they get all the help and support, that they need, and, yeah, just hoping the poor little kids are okay. It's awful.
Order and then applied for it to be lifted. Joshua Brown did not apply to suppress his own.
So this is the guy just putting his stupid, punchable, smug, stupid face out there. I hope that he's put in Gen Pop if he goes to jail. Sorry, but even criminals have some morals. Let them deal with him, because yeah. If he could do that to a child, then I'm sorry, but throw him to the wolves. I have no sympathy. Freaking wipe that stupid smile off his fucking head.
Identity, but it's been lifted, and not only lifted, police have released the name and a lot of information about him, which is really, really unusual in this case, but it is because of this public health response and because of how many children potentially have been exposed to this man.
This is
Well, yeah, there was a mother. I saw a story today as well. There was a mother who realized that this guy had been working at her daughter's childcare, but her daughter only attended the childcare for 2 months. And it wasn't the 2 months that the police had said that he was working there. And she was like, hang on, your dates aren't right. So if they've gotten his dates of employment for one site wrong, the chances are that he's worked at even more daycares, and there's all this time that's unaccounted for that he's been working. Like, you're very opposite with privacy versus surveillance. At home, privacy is max, but the moment you step into public, you should always be on camera. Well, I think if you're working with the elderly, or you're working with children, and you're working with people that are, in some way infirmed and, aren't able to tell people if they're being hurt, I think you should be on camera. Look, like, I'm a social worker. I have no problem being on camera because I'm not doing anything wrong, right? I always do things by the book. I'm always super professional when I'm at work. When I'm on stream, not so much, but when I'm at work, I'm very professional. I have nothing to hide, so film me. I don't care. But yeah, in my own house, I want to be able to do what I want to do and say what I want to say. But at work, I have no issue with being filmed because I do work with some incredibly vulnerable people. And I do want everybody involved in the process to feel safe, and I don't mind having that oversight, and I don't mind being held, you know, accountable for my actions.
It's very important to ensure that every parent out there that has a child in childcare knows who he is and where he worked. This may be families who had a child at the centre where he worked, or even staff that worked alongside the person.
There is national reform work underway, but as the Premier said, it is frustratingly slow, and this is something we have expressed over the past months and weeks, and certainly something that I expressed last Friday.
Clearly, this should never have been allowed to happen. So we're really interested in understanding how this person had the opportunity to...
Just take a look at the face. Just take it in, guys, if you live in Melbourne. Yeah, look, obviously I can't sit here and call for like mob justice and call for, you know, yada yada yada, but yeah, everybody needs to know what this guy looks like. Obviously leave it to the legal system to sort out, but yeah, just if you live in the western suburbs of Melbourne, just, you know, make sure if you've got kids, make sure you keep an eye on them, make sure you know where they are, because yeah, monsters like this are unfortunately everywhere. And this monster was allowed to work with babies, like actual like literal babies. He hurt literal babies, like yeah, absolutely freaking horrific. And he has a friend. They announced today this is his friend. He's a very rotund friend. So this is another guy who wasn't working at the child center, but the cases are related somehow, so I'm assuming they shared material. They exchanged material because this guy in the middle here was involved. His charges also include bestiality. So this sick fuck here, he doesn't like just hurting children. He likes hurting everything that's vulnerable, including animals. How far does this go? There needs to be an audit of every single MFR that is working at these places. I don't care. My right to privacy, yum, 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 yum. The AFP is coming to your house and going through your hard drives, guys. I don't care if you got nothing. I don't care what you look at on Pornhub. I don't care if you're looking at, you know, adults doing things to each other, whatever you're into, you know, your hentai, whatever you creeps are into. That's like, whatever. I don't care. Be as you know, be as freaky as you want out there, as long as it doesn't involve children and it involves consensual adults. That's fine. But if like I Google some weird shit sometimes, I would be a little bit embarrassed if like the AFP came and looked at my hard drive. You know, that's nothing like freaky or whatever, but they would just be like, why were you Googling if like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something weird I Googled lately, but they might ask me a few questions about some of the because I just wake up in the middle of the night sometimes with like weird questions in my head, and I like grab my phone and I start Googling stuff. But yeah, look, if you work with children, I'm sorry, but like we obviously now know there's PDF files working at these places. Yeah, maybe you all need to have maybe that should be part of your working with children checks, right? The AFP just rock up at your house, go through your hard drive. No child porn? Okay, you're free to go, sir.
More details have emerged about 36-year-old accused rapist Michael Wilson, who police arrested in May and charged.
Oh God, you can tell he smells. You can smell him. He smells like smegma. I know. Look at him. Ew.
Charged with raping a teenage boy and bestiality.
What the fuck?
Shock Friends told 7 News, and it's understood the list of childcare centre dates for accused child sex offender Joshua Brown may be broadened, meaning more potential young victims. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
Yeah, one of them was married, Zach. Yeah, one of them was married. Hopefully the mother has custody of the child, and little to do with the dad. It's just that guy has a bestiality charge as well. Like, what is wrong with some people? Jeez.
The sector has prompted a controversial call to ban men from certain areas inside childcare centres.
One abuse survivors advocate thinks there is a silver bullet, a ban on men in childcare bathrooms and sleeping quarters.
There's so many parents who are very, very uncomfortable with having male daycare workers around their children.
The overwhelming anger of parents is reflected on all sides of politics.
The implementation of those reforms has taken too bloody long.
The Education Minister conceding action by governments on child abuse.
Yeah, Joey, it is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction overreach to ban all men. But I think when stuff like this happens, people just get very, very fired up, you know, very hot under the collar. And people do start saying some very extreme stuff. I think especially like when you're a woman, like I don't have children, but I feel very protective of children. I don't know if men are the same way with like their paternal instincts, but I know my maternal instincts kick in. Like whenever I hear a kid crying, like my ears prick up, you know what I mean? Like I want to run over to like children that, like if a little kid's lost, you know, at the shopping center, I will always be the first person to run over and like, you know, ask them if they're lost, take them to like the information center, wait with them till their mum and dad get there. Like I just, you know, I think a lot of women, even if we aren't mothers, we have that in us where, yeah, I can't, look, I'm not agreeing with the lady that wants to ban all men from childcare, but I do understand where like that knee-jerk reaction, like that need to protect kids comes from, because I definitely like have that pretty strongly, like that instinct pretty strongly in myself, so I can kind of relate. Even if I don't agree with her, I can kind of understand where she's coming from.
According to the state opposition, they want Parliament recalled now to rush through urgent reforms.
Yeah, Zach, I think a lot of people just have, you know, paternal or maternal instincts. I think like if you don't want to protect kids, it's probably people that don't have that are probably the odd ones out, honestly. I think most of us have that inbuilt.
We can act on the CCTV today.
People can get a working with children check even if they're under active police investigation for crimes relating to children. That's nonsense. It should be fixed today.
Child sexual abuse can happen in seconds, and then it's just too late.
I can't imagine just, you know, being a parent in the western suburbs of Melbourne, and now you've got to take your little baby or your little toddler off to the doctors to go get tested for gonorrhea and chlamydia. Yeah, it's so harrowing. It's so awful. So many kids too. It's 1,200 kids. It might be more. We don't know where this guy's worked because he was a casual worker. He's worked at a lot of childcares. We don't even know all the sites he's worked at yet. So you'd rather be overly cautious than regret it for the rest of your life. Yeah, 100%. Whenever you see something sus. Look, the worst thing that someone's going to do is be like, hey mate, calm down. And it's like, oh, okay, just wanted to make sure the kid was okay. Yeah, sometimes it's better to be a little bit embarrassed than like let a kid be kidnapped. So yeah, I think that's a good way to be, Zach. I think that is the way to go. Well, yeah, that's it. Like you wouldn't even expect you would have to do an STD test for like your partner, right? Like you don't even expect your partner to like cheat on you or not be honest about their history with you, let alone, yeah, having to go to the GP for one of your kids. Absolutely. Ugh, absolutely heinous. Well, Kanye doesn't have to worry about awkward dinners with the in-laws because he is not allowed on the same continent. Oh, it started auto-playing something. I don't know why it scared me, but it did. Oh, there's more stuff about the stuff I spoke about yesterday, you know, with the little kitties. I don't know. Maybe should we talk about it now? Or should we talk about it later? I don't know. Should we pull off the band-aid? Punches above its weight in cost of living. Well, yeah, I mean, it is very expensive to live here, and rent is definitely the big killer. We have a housing bubble that's never gonna pop because it's propped up by so much government legislation, because there's just so much money in the housing market now that if we crash the market, or like we can absorb like slight corrections, but like there was a correction on apartment prices in Melbourne, so they came down like a few $100,000, which is substantial, which is like 25% on some places, and the market could kind of absorb that. But if it absorbs, like if the house, so much of our economy is tied to our housing prices. It's all tied to our resources and our housing. So if one of those goes down, our economy will just crash. So that's why politicians do everything that they can to keep the housing market propped up. But yeah, rent is really, really, really expensive. It is really, really hard to stay afloat. Housing prices have become commodities and speculative assets, I guess, is a way to put it. And yeah, people there's probably possibly a good part of 2 generations that are never going to own their own homes, and it ain't great out there. Rent is so expensive. Like, whenever I think about moving back to Sydney, because I'm like, oh, I miss Sydney so much, all I have to do is go on realestate.com, put in literally any suburb in Sydney, look at the rent prices and go, yeah, I can't afford that. And then I'm like, you know what? Melbourne is fine. Melbourne is fine. I'll stay here. I can have a roof over my head here. Can I like live in like the nicest house in Melbourne? No. Can I live in the nicest suburb? No. Can I even afford to live in a house? No. But you know, we do what we can. It's all right. Honestly, I'm just happy to have food in my tummy and a roof over my head. I'm very grateful for that. So, because I know not everyone has that. So I don't know, what are you gonna do? I mean, it sucks. We should all be able to have homes. We should all be able to do these things, but it's just the way the world is now. It's just a combination of bad policy and greedy people colliding, I guess. People buy houses over businesses. Well, yeah, they just grow exponentially, and that's the other thing. Like, boomers expect the government to keep their house prices growing exponentially, and then there's no way even saving for a deposit you can keep up, because 20% of 2 million, 20% of a million becomes 20% of 1.5. Once you save up that money, it just keeps on going and going and going. Big loans, dual income, need childcare subsidy. Yeah, I know. It's a mess. Yeah, so just to give a recap, something really terrible has been happening in the state of Victoria, which is where I live, which is where Melbourne is. Melbourne is the state capital. There has been a man, at least one man that we know of, probably more, unfortunately, but he was doing really bad things to children, and now up to 1,200 young children, like under the age of 2, 1,200 young children under the age of 2 have to go and have STI testing. And so it's a really big thing that's happening in Victoria at the moment. I spoke about it yesterday, and I showed the man's face. He's a disgusting animal, and I hope he spends forever in jail. But this is the Federal Minister for Education, and he's just going to talk about what happened at the preschools, at the kindies. So,
Sinclair, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you learnt about the allegations being made against the childcare worker in Melbourne over a week ago. What action did you take?
Well, the first step I took was to put this on the top of the agenda for education ministers when we met last week.
How is it possible that if you knew a week ago, some parents only found out when they went to the childcare centres that there was a problem?
Well, let me be very clear. I was informed by the Victorian government that someone had been arrested. I wasn't briefed on the details of this, and nor were ministers at the education ministers meeting last week. To the best of my knowledge, the Victorian government has made sure that they've informed parents as soon as they possibly can. As you would have heard,
it can't be as soon as they possibly could, because we had an incident of a mother on the programme last night who did receive a text message. The text message was very confusing. Yeah. The media were at the childcare centre. She didn't know, walked into a childcare centre.
Fair point. Let me correct that. The Victorian government were informing parents when they believed that they were ready to do so.
Mm.
And this is what happens when there's a bunch of public money up for grabs. These childcare centres, these people that have no experience running childcare centres, hiring absolutely anybody because there's so much money to be made, hiring obviously this little freak that worked at this this particular childcare centre and 19 others apparently, with absolutely no oversight.
One of those people is a friend of mine. She's directly affected by this. Her girls are caught up in this. I know the white-hot anger of all parents that are affected by this and the confusion that they're facing and feeling right now. You know, I don't want to make any points specifically about the alleged offence.
You're all right, Defect. You can talk about whatever you want in chat. Yeah. Yeah, this is just a serious thing that's happening in my state. Obviously, it involves very vulnerable people. This guy just makes you murderous. You pass through the rage. Yeah, I know it's really horrible. It is really horrible, but it's really important conversation to have. Put him under the jail, 100%. 100%. Oh my goodness. Oh, those poor babies. Those poor babies. Oh my goodness.
She's keeping it from them as you expect that she would, but at some point they need to get tests done. She needs to know what those tests involved and what the potential.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can do testing without being too invasive. Oh, the pegging guy's back in the chat. Mate, this isn't the segment for you to be in here asking to get pegged or whatever it is that you want. We're actually talking about some serious shit right now. I'll deal with you later, mate. All right.
Impact of them might be on the girls.
Are pedophiles targeting childcare centres because they can get easy access to?
Sir, do I sound like a bloke to you? Jeez, I've got the girliest voice in the world.
The children.
Well, we've seen evidence of this, Sarah. We saw evidence of this in Queensland, where Australia's worst pedophile was arrested and charged and convicted a couple of years ago.
Does the Aussie government subsidise childcare? Yeah, they subsidise it heavily. They subsidise it heavily because it's really unaffordable. You didn't come off as offensive, but I remember what you said last time you were in here, and we're talking about child abuse at the moment, so that's why I was just letting you know not to, you know, say anything too wild, but you're all right as long as you behave yourself, okay?
How do you defend those statistics?
I don't. No reasonable person would. What those statistics show you is that we've got a serious problem. That's why people are talking now about CCTV or about an educator register, about improving working with children checks. None of that is a silver bullet. None of that is going to guarantee every child is safe.
Yeah, it's not going to guarantee every child is safe, and there are no 100% guarantees, but if it brings it up from 50% safe to 95% safe, surely that's going to be something. Surely that's going to be something that, you know, get it as safe as you possibly can. Look, like, I understand privacy, I understand all these things, but these are children. This is the safety of children. Like, I work with vulnerable people. I am more than happy to have CCTV on me at all times because a lot of the people that I work with are vulnerable people. And even if it means my privacy, you know, even if it means I am being micromanaged or whatever, like, I will take that on the chin if it guarantees, you know, the safety of vulnerable people. Why is my cat meowing? You've been fed, Bubba. Yeah. You've been fed. What? Where are you going? Sorry, my cat is trying to pretend she didn't get fed her dinner, but she did. I don't know if you can hear her in the background, but she's trying to act cute. Cute and hungry, but I'm onto her. She has been fed. Don't believe her lies, chat. Don't believe her lies. She is fed and watered. She's just trying to get a sneaky extra fancy feast, I think.
But all of it are the sort of things that are necessary if we're fair dinkum about doing our jobs.
So what is your view on each of those things? Just one at a time. CCTV, should there be CCTV in childcare centres?
Yes.
There should. Chris talked about this in his report that was handed down last week.
When can we expect to see that?
Nah, it shouldn't be some centres. It should be all centres, because what if a creep goes and gets a job at one of the quote-unquote good centres, right? What if they go to TAFE or they go to uni and they get their childcare, early education certificates or whatever, and so they get to work at the quote-unquote good, up to scratch childcare, and they use that to get access to children without there being CCTV. No, you have to roll it out. You have to roll it out to every single childcare centre. Otherwise, there's no... Well, I'm not going to say there's no point. I mean, obviously put the cameras in the dodgy ones. Or what about this? Don't let dodgy ones exist. If they're not up to scratch, shut them down. Say get up to scratch or get shut down. Exactly, Defect. Only the bad centres are bad and the good centres will be assumed to be good and they won't be checked. Yeah, 100%. The cameras need to be in all of them. Otherwise, there's no point. Just shut down the bad ones. Why are these places getting funding? Why is it okay for kids to get sent to a quote-unquote bad daycare? What if that's the only daycare you can afford, or it's the only one in your suburb, or it's the only one with places available because all the, rich people can afford to send their kid to the good daycare? Make all the daycare centers be good, bring them all up to scratch, or say no funding for you and they have to close down, or close them down. If they're not good, close them down.
Should any center that is required to have CCTV for the safety of the children attending it, should that centre be in operation?
But the short answer to that is no.
So,
and that's why I'm going to introduce legislation when the Parliament returns in the first sitting fortnight that will cut funding to childcare centres that aren't up to scratch. This is the big weapon that the Commonwealth Government has to wield here. We fund centres. 70% of the funding for these centres comes from taxpayers. Well, that is the big lever that the Commonwealth Government has. States have other levers, but that's the big one. A centre can't run without taxpayer funding or taxpayer support. And so that's why we've said this was something that we announced in March. So that's a major important measure to make sure that our kids are safe. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have CCTV as well. Chris gave us recommendations about that, and that's one of the things ministers are going through right now.
One of the standards you've already talked about that's come.
The Effect is asking, why isn't there CCTV in all of them already? That's a really good question. And it's probably to do with privacy issues and things like that. But I think that's all gone out the window now. CCTV is an expensive 100%. And yeah, look, I think this has woken a lot of people up to, what can happen when you're not being surveilled. So yeah. Yeah, CCTV cameras aren't expensive these days, 100%, and they should all be monitored. But yeah, it's just absolutely horrible that this was allowed to happen.
Coming in September is mandatory reporting of any physical or sexual abuse within 24 hours. Why not bring that in immediately? Well,
we're bringing it in as quick as we possibly can. I'm conscious here, no one is interested in any excuses here, but the honest answer to this is, out of the review that we did, that we asked the national regulator to conduct for us, they recommended a suite of changes, about 16 different reforms. Some of them are the responsibility of education ministers, some the attorneys general, some building ministers. One of them was around mobile phones, one of them was around mandatory reporting. I've told my department, I've told ministers across the country, we need to implement these as quick as we possibly can, and that's one of them.
So the beginning of September is the earliest you can possibly do that. Yeah. How do you propose to fix a system that fails to punish centres that offer substandard care?
Yeah, there's at least two parts to this. The penalties that centres cop at the moment are insufficient. Part of that is significantly beefing up those penalties. The other part, in answering your question,
it's so weird seeing a politician take accountability. I'm like, wow, interesting.
The federal government undertook a drive, the Albanese government, when it came into power, a drive to provide what were urgently needed childcare places across the country. Have you pushed the sector to expand too fast at the expense of children's safety?
Yes, obviously.
No, I don't think that's right. We have seen the centre
I think that's
grow
right.
over the last 3 years. There's 100,000 more children in early education and care today than there were 3 years ago.
And we've got a crisis of quality, so doesn't that make the answer to that question yes?
Well, there's about 1.5 million children in the sector right now. So it's gone from about 1.4 to 1.5. So we're seeing that grow. So that's good for parents because it's an essential service. It's good to have more children in early education and care because it's helping to get them ready for school.
This is a debate about quality.
I get that. I'm determined to make sure that we hit those quality standards. So the question then is, how do you make sure you hit those quality and safety standards? What do businesses in this sector listen to? Money.
Yeah.
And if you cut off the funding, then you end up closing down the centre. That's going to be the real tool, I think, that we've got here to help boost those standards.
As things stand, do you accept that there is a correlation between for-profit in this sector and low quality?
Well,
yes.
What I would say is that in the community or the not-for-profit sector, we're seeing overwhelmingly higher levels of achieving the sort of quality we want and expect than in the for-profit sector.
This whole thing's so yucky. So yucky. Is there an argument that the government rushed the expansion of childcare for political gains at the expense of child safety? Yes, there is an argument for that. A very strong one. Look, I don't think they could have foreseen it being quite this bad. But yeah. That's what happens when you try and push through policy too fast. It's not well written. It's not, you know, well tested. It's not well researched. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. Anyway, yucky, yucky, yucky. Disgusting situation. Let's watch a video about Istanbul, the city of cats. The best thing about going to Turkey is all the cats that are everywhere, and everywhere you go there's cats and you can pat them, and it's great. 10 out of 10 recommend. We love cats. They are the greatest. Hey Dango, good to see you, Dango. Dango is an OG. We do love cats. Everyone loves cats. Well, not everyone loves cats. Some weirdos don't like cats, but that's for God to sort out. Meow. Hello. Ooh. Black cat. Hi. You have allergies and you still love cats? Yeah, I have allergies to everything. I have to take antihistamines like every 12 hours, but I still love cats. I don't even know if I'm allergic to my cat because I'm just like allergic to everything, so I don't know. So many things set my immune system off. You just never know what it's going to be from day to day, so... But yeah, cats are beautiful. It does suck when you're allergic to them though. I have a friend that's allergic to them. Oh, he almost fell. Oh, that's a new one. Was that his meow? What a meow. I do have lupus and I do set my immune system off myself. That is true. That is true. If you ever go to Turkey or if you've been to Turkey, like the whole community, they take care of the cats. And if one of them's sick, like they take them to the vet. But the cats, they live outside because they want the cats to be free. So they like don't like to like have them in the house because they don't think they're happy in the house. But I was in this city on the Mediterranean coast of Turkey called Antalya, and the old city there is called Kaleci, and it's just full of cats and they're so well taken care of, and there's all kittens everywhere. And like if you eat at a restaurant, like you'll just have kittens running around your legs, like waiting for a piece of your steak or a piece of your fish or whatever you're eating. And like I saw one of the waitresses like pick up one of the kittens and just like start like playing with it. It was so cute. It was so cute. Like I love how much Turkish people love cats. It's one of the first sultans, I believe, he had like he followed an interpretation of Islam that really put an emphasis on like loving animals because they're like Allah's creation. Let me just Turkish animal Sultan. Is it going to give me... Nope, that's not what I wanted. Sultan Abdul Hamid II, who reigned from 1876 to 1909, was known for his deep affection for animals, particularly cats. He has nearly 1,500 cats of various breeds at Yildiz Palace. Additionally, he established foundations dedicated to the care of stray animals, especially during the harsh winter months. Here's a more detailed look at his love for animals. Cats at Yildiz Palace. He had a large number of cats at his palace, including many different breeds. He set up a foundation for stray animals with the specific purpose of providing food and care for stray animals, particularly during the cold winter months. The cats of Antalya. Oh, we'll watch that next. Those are my favorite cats. I love them so much. I had the best time in that city because there were just cats everywhere and the architecture is so beautiful. And like you're behind like this old castle wall, like this old fortress wall. The whole city just looks like a movie. It's so pretty. Meow. Oh, I wish I could pat all of them. And if you go into some of the mosques as well, there's just cats in the mosque. They just let them chill in there. Because, you know, they're God's creation, so they can just chill out in the mosque. Love them, so cute. Aww. He's having a coffee. You have a photo of the cats on top of the columns? Yeah, I saw a lot of the cats just chilling on the Roman ruins as well. It's so cool. Beach cats. Oh, hello. I don't know. I know you can't reach through the screen and like pat them all, but I want to pat them all. They're just so cute. Maybe I should go to a cat cafe. I mean, I cuddle my cat all the time. She is so needy. She has to sleep on top of me. She's the most neediest cat that ever lived, but you know, I want to go and pat some other cats as well. She doesn't need to know about it. Yeah, I can cheat on my cat with other cats. She doesn't need to know. What she doesn't know can't hurt her. Oh, hello. Anyway, we get the point. There's lots of cute cats. We'll watch a video on housing. I just wanted to have a palate cleanser after watching that horrific. Thinking about that horrific little disgusting man that did that disgusting stuff to those children. I needed to have some joy in my heart.